You're listening to Glow On with Charla Story
and Jennifer Wilson. We're not just photographers. We're your trusty guides in the world of photography, business, and a bit of life wisdom. Every week, we'll be lighting up your feed with practical tips, inspiring stories, and a sprinkle of humor just to keep you smiling.
We've captured luxurious weddings, mentored talented students at Develop Academy, and navigated the ups and downs of the photography world to bring you insights and strategies that work. Whether you're looking to sharpen your skills, boost your business, or just hang out with two friends who get it, you're in the right place.
So grab your favorite beverage, get comfy,
and let's dive into another episode of Glow On. Okay, so with our sales strategy Glow Up coming up, we have both been doing some research and reading some articles and truly fascinated by some of the things that we are actively learning.
And actively living through.
Yeah. So it's really great to not only be in a position where we are selling a service, which is kind of a part of who we are. And then we're kind of selling a part of who we are, which is such a weird concept. Selling your soul.
I was about to say, is it also the soul? I feel like I'm there. I feel like that's all I have left to give.
But then we're also very much consumers with really high standards because of our own, sales and service industry perspective.
Facts.
But there was this article, and I think we should link it somewhere for everybody to go view on Hotspot or something. What was the article?
HubSpot.com.
HubSpot. About like what's changing in the buyer's journey, really.
I love that you get pushed articles like this because your algorithm is so different than mine.
Oh, honey. This was mentioned in a book I was reading.
Well, okay. Well, I love that for you too, because I'm just learning about different ways to murder people and get away with it. And that's kind of where my brain is at too. So I loved that you sent me this though, because as we're all aware, based on our amazing intro, we own lots of businesses and we're selling to a lot of different types of people all the time. And this was so beneficial and eye-opening to have words put to the feelings that I have been journeying through when it comes to thinking about how to more expediently and accurately assess who my buyer is depending on which business I'm talking about.
Oh gosh, well, and then so often we're thinking about who our buyer is. I find myself just as often thinking about what buyer am I?
I'm the needy buyer.
How are you needy?
I need and this is in this article too. I want the information. I want to know, like, did everyone love it? Were the shoes comfortable? Did they stain easily? Like, we just bought a brand new couch for our new place that we're moving to. And it was just like, I need to know everything about that filling and read all these different blog posts and all the things. And I think that's so interesting and you hit the nail on the head. It's for the longest time, we were taught that you could sell to everyone if you follow these rules and principles. And now that it has been flipped on its head, it's so much easier to understand our potential buyer when we really think about what we are looking for when the coin is flipped on the other side.
Yeah. I mean, so often when we're mentoring people, we have to remind them to put themselves in their buyer's shoe, because they're not two different things. They're still just like marketing, advertising, and making buying decisions, whether you're the one that's making the decision or helping someone make the decision. The biggest thing is everybody is so tired of being sold to. Everybody's so tired of the ick, so tired of the pitch. And the next generation, Gen Z, the moment they feel sold to, they are gone. They swipe away, they stop reading, they tune out. It's like when you go to a restaurant and you don't hear other people's kids crying. That's what's happening to any kind of sales going their way. And I love that, because great sales often means that you're just advising someone about something you really think is a great product for the right person. And so it's not awkward or icky. You're literally like, no, you're going to love this. And here's why. what would you, I have a buying toxic trait, similar to what you just said. You have to get all of the information. I want all the information, but I am jumping to the end because I want your worst review. I am my toxic trait. I am making a buying decision based off of your worst review. If I read the first 3 great ones and they're similar, I'm like, cool, great. Your brand promise and product promise is correct, and I'm on point and happy with that. Now I want to know the worst of it so that I can determine if I'm okay with that. And if it's like let's just say it's like an Airbnb and they're like, oh, you have to walk up a flight of stairs. Oh, okay. Well, if that's the worst of it, I'm in.
Right.
Oh, it smells like dead animal. Okay, not in.
Maybe not. Well, that's where I end up on Amazon all the time. I'm like, I do the 5 stars and then I go through those. And which, just so you guys know, my husband sold things on Amazon forever, and you should be aware, you can pay for Amazon reviews. But yeah, then go to the bottom and it's like everyone's bottles of this face wash or whatever are showing up broken. Like, am I willing to be inconvenienced by potentially having to ask for a refund or, whatever? I don't think that's toxic at all. I think it's insightful. And I think our traits go hand in hand.
Yeah. I mean, that's obviously a bigger picture when it comes to personality. I just know I'm not going to return something.
True.
It's not happening. I can't do it. It's not a part of how I'm built. And so if I know that it's not something I'm going to loathe, then it should be fine. And then I just want to know the worst of it, I guess. And we say this all the time, but it's also about dating. Like, I want to know the worst part about you before I decide if I'm going to spend my life with you,
That's fair. Well, yeah, no, that's really fair. I think what really got me, and I sent you a screenshot too, from this article because it's the one thing I screenshot and sent to you, so it must have really resonated. But it was this sentence. It said, buyers who have a neutral or negative way with sales say that representatives were pushy, didn't listen, weren't helpful, and could not prove value. And I think that this is such a major thing that a lot of our students deal with. I know it's something I dealt with for a long time, is just being such a relator that you connect emotionally with a potential client, and you literally have no perspective or training in how to speak about what you're bringing to the table, what makes you different, what makes you excellent, and distinguishes you from your competition. Yeah. I think that was huge for me.
Well, and you brought up relator. So we at Develop Academy we have a glow up on sales strategies, and we take assessment of who our ideal client is that we're selling to. And we put them in 4 categories, like in our industry. And a relator is somebody who's really looking to make a buying decision based on the relationship that is built and feeling connection. Mm-hmm. But then we also have the analyzer, the boss, and the dreamer. I think all of their names give you a pretty good idea of how they make buying decisions. But it's the most interesting part is basically the art of communication, and how does a relator communicate with a boss, and how does a boss communicate with a dreamer, and for them to be able to be speaking the same language and understand each other. And so this HubSpot article is basically talking about how buyers are controlling the process. They are now well informed. They are doing what Jen does, and they're gathering as much information as humanly possible before they go to the next level of making a buying decision.
Yep.
So it's, you are needing to map out their journey of getting to know you before you actually ever speak to each other. It's kind of like this know, like, trust process.
Yeah.
Once they know of you, they get to know you. They know your brand. Okay, cool. That's probably when they're on your website. That's probably when they're reading about you. But now they like you, right? Mm-hmm. They've gotten to know you. They hit your social media. They feel like they're developing a positive experience and relationship with you. So now they like you. And then when you're getting on the phone with them or getting in a place where you're talking to them about your services and offerings, pass me the cup and put my offering. 10%. But this is when they're building trust, right? Now this is like the third step. So they have this consistency and this transparency, and this is where they're really in this stage of gathering the most info. This is what I thought was the most interesting about this article is for our specific industry, the wedding industry, photographers. A lot of times when we get on the phone with a customer, or a client, we think that they're about to make a buying decision. And that was probably true for a long time. But now they're showing that really, like, they've gone through your website and your social, they've gotten to know and like, this is the trust part. And they still have 20% of their journey left before they're making a buying decision. It's not on the call with you.
Right.
So you're not looking to close a sale on this call. And you are expecting them to take some time to get back to you.
Which is, I mean, in our industry, so I've been, doing these types of calls and things for 15 years, and I don't do them anymore, but it used to be immediate. It used to be get on a call, go get frozen yogurt, go get coffee, whatever, contract in hand, you walk away with a client. And I think that it's something that has to be so newly expected, as we are now not just doing weddings for millennials, we're doing weddings for Gen Zs who have grown up in a informationally saturated world their entire life. And so if you're not being forthright and forthcoming about what they can expect about a process with you from the beginning, they're already going to be a little bit lost. But you said something earlier that was like they could choose 3 different routes, and all I was thinking the whole time was marry, bop, kill. And I'm like, the whole time I was like, how do we work this into sales? Because that
it's Bob. Well, you actually just said something that you're like, well, we used to meet in person and they'd sign a contract at the end of the meeting.
Mm-hmm.
And I have to ask you, do you think that is the buyer's journey has changed, or do you think that your specific buyer that you're selling to has changed, or a mix of both? Because
I think it's both. I think that, well, and I think I honestly wonder too, I would be really curious to see the metrics from generation to generation, like how many more relators and boss and dreamers there are in just these groups of people. Because I would say, I do know for certain that during like the really like the middle part of my career, like 2011 to 2018, and then the world fell apart. That client definitely was in a specific demographic that waned, like it went from like upper middle to like higher middle. And then they definitely were mostly relators and dreamers. And you do begin to see a shift the higher up in the market you go to some degree, but there are always going to be little flecks of all types everywhere. But right. I do think that my marketing was definitely very relational driven. I was writing blog posts about each wedding. Each Instagram was like, this is why I fell in love with this grandmother, so like setting up the experience from the beginning. But I really would love to see metrics on how it's shifted, or if there has been a shift from like millennials to Gen Z and what their buyer types are.
It's fascinating because it's human nature, and it's definitely generational. It's also, personality type, what your career path looks like. Mm-hmm. What do you do on like a Friday night, when you can do whatever you want? What are you doing? That's going to say a lot about who you are and what buyer's journey you're looking to ride. Yeah. Or you're going to bop. But I think, again, bringing it back to what we are regularly talking through with mentees and students or over at Develop Academy when it comes to sales, is that the call or like that sales email or that proposal, that's everything. That is your sales. That's what's going to do it. That you need everything in there. You need to give it all away. And that's where they're going to gather information. And in reality, we know based on this article that people are already in a place where they feel like they know you and like you. And all they're looking for at this point is if you're going to be able to align.
Yep.
And you become like an advisor. So they're just looking for advice from you on if this is the best fit. Right. And so many people aren't realizing the impact that the flow of their copy on their website all the way down to their social media and even their stories is actually impacting your sales. You are selling every time you put yourself anywhere on the internet. Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's there forever. Well, and as our clients become more and more tech savvy, you can expect that they can find anything. I fully expect that I have current clients who have gone all the way back to 2012 and have seen the patriotic pies that I baked. Like, I'm fully aware.
Yeah. We
You
have a
know?
client right now, actually, that went all the way back to one of our associates' first Instagram post and
That's
liked it and
wild.
commented. And that's fascinating because what a difference life is from then to now, you know?
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I mean, if that's the case for me, I hope they like chicken tortellini.
Mine is like the first time I took Seth to a bar. So really winning.
Well, I love that.
You know, whatever. It was live music, but it came off as being like a bar. Okay, so here's what's just, they're getting to know you more than you realize. And so really, before you're getting on these calls or in these in-depth emails, you need to be in a place where you guys are all on the same page of pricing is one thing that people are tired of. I'm blown away when people are getting on phone calls and you haven't even had baseline pricing communication, because
What a waste of
what a
time.
waste of everyone's time.
Yeah.
Do you remember, and maybe I think it changed greatly for us as we were growing up, but you used to call a business and a person would answer.
Yeah.
And you used to be able to ask them to guide you on where you needed to go get help. And that was a very easy thing. And now, you know, anybody who's in Gen Z starting to get married, they have likely made phone calls that were push this button to go there and then ask person for that person. And that person has to get back to you because I got to ask that person. And that's kind of this journey that this article is talking about. This scripted, you're going through a process. It's not good.
Yeah, no, it's icky. Well, and
that's what I have. It's not good. Yeah, that's the ick. Thank you. We feel it. We hate it.
It's not good.
That's the one we kill. Let's kill that one.
Kill. Well, I mean, you have to. It's throughout so many industries. Like, why are creators like Pharrell Williams now being asked to design for Louis Vuitton? It's because we know him in such a deeper facet than maybe a fashion designer, because we've seen his soul and spirit through music. So we feel like we can connect to his designs. And so we're seeing different industries latch on to this ideology that we want to feel connected to what we're buying in a different way more than ever. And I think that is really driven by Gen Z, honestly, and like tail end of millennials.
I was going to say, man, the hardest thing for us is we are selling to maybe a boss type planner and a dreamer type bride. And so we have to know that, so that everything that we're building out in terms of our communication and our imagery, which I would call our demo, if you will, like when you go to a store and you get to touch and feel something before you buy it, for us, that's the imagery and words that you're reading.
Right.
It has to be backed up with social proof. And so whatever I'm telling you, I need my clients to be telling you the same thing. And so this is where we have that opportunity to really get to know our client and use their words to sell our services. And therefore, people shouldn't all be using the exact same words. And how am I supposed to trust you when I like you and know you, and then I find out that I go like and know a couple of other photographers and you're so similar? Now, how does anybody stand out? And it brings us back to that value. Can you truly convey your value effectively and confidently to your friends, yourself, or your ideal client?
Right. And we posed that question to our mastermind last month. And it was really enlightening to see the chat fill up with so many like, I'm not sure. I don't know what my value is. I don't know how I'm different. I don't know what I bring to the table. But then the flip side of that was watching the same people who had just said they didn't know it about themselves tell their friends and fellow like students what their value was. It's so easy to figure out what makes someone else different, but it's so hard to give yourself the love and acceptance and acknowledgement that you too are also different and have something unique to bring to the table. So like if you're listening to this and you're like, I really don't know what my value is, start with asking a trusted friend or someone in the space who knows you. They know what it is. But also, I know Charlie's going to say, you do know it. You just don't know how to say it.
Yeah, you do know it. You know it. Something is in your gut screaming to you saying, oh man, you're an amazing relator. And then your imposter syndrome, if you will, is like, so what? everyone else is too. You're not special. And so like your mom is like, you're special and you can do anything, is arguing with like your worst enemy who's like, I can do it too. Anything you can do, I can do better. And so, but in reality, just because you and someone who has niched their business to be similar to yours do the same thing and maybe even do it similarly, doesn't mean that you don't have a value that makes you stand out perfectly for your ideal client.
Right.
It's easy to compare so many products. Like if we think of Athleta and Lululemon, they're both highly successful, sought after, well-loved athleisure and athletic wear. And I own them both because they do the same thing, but they do it differently. But technically on paper, they would look identical almost in a lot of ways.
Right. Well, and my encouragement to those who do feel like their client is like a relator dreamer, because that's where I still think my client is the relator, but we know our planners are not necessarily always relator dreamers, was relate with them. Dream with them if that's who you are and who you connect with. And maybe you are the boss type. Like who are you and how can you connect and use what makes you so unique in that regard to connect with those types of people? Because even a relator can relate to a boss type. As long as you know what you're walking into and you come prepared, there are so many strengths and facets about what makes you uniquely qualified for any position you're up for. I mean, not to negate that there will be clients that just aren't for you, and it's important to be able to recognize those as well. But yeah, I just think the more and more I leaned into like what felt right and at home to me in those conversations and those emails and writing those blogs, those captions or whatever, the more healthy my business was because it was me.
It's all communication and confidence.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, just like in our exercise in the mastermind where you actively see somebody claim they don't know, but they didn't then do. The problem is they're saying it with questions, not confidence. So it's, I do this and this instead of I do this and this. And so we think about how this article is telling us that buyers are looking for an advisor when they get to the point where they're actually communicating with you, which means before this call, there's been talk about money, there's been talk about, value, trust, like, no, all of that's happened. And now they're looking for that advisor. And if that advisor is answering questions with a question mark, maybe you should invest your money here and there. You're like, ooh, I don't feel confident about that decision. So if we're not saying it confidently, then they're not. And that's exactly why sales is just not one size fits all.
No, and honestly, it never has been, even though we've been pitched that it should sometimes feel one size fits all, but that's not accurate. No. And I think the more and more we can remain flexible, I will say I don't know, I feel like we've been stretched to the point where all we can be is flexible these days. Like since 2019, I feel like we've all been broken into flexibility. But I think there are parts of ourselves, especially in business, where we can make the cognizant decision to choose flexibility and it be different than just being flexible. Because choosing which way you bend is a lot more purposeful than just being malleable.
Your buyer wants to be Luke Skywalker, and they want you to be Yoda. You are the wise one. You will provide the answers. You have the tips and the valuable content. And Luke, the buyer, they get to be the hero.
Have answers, will I, for your booking wedding? Yes. You're welcome. That feels like a natural spot to introduce. Speaking of marry, bop, kill.
Yeah. Kill Anakin. Then we don't even have Luke. I know.
We need him.
Yeah. We do. And his sister too.
I don't know as much about Star Wars as I should to continue on this conversation, I'll be honest with you.
It's embarrassing for you publicly.
I just remember Princess Amidala. I thought she was so beautiful. And Jar Jar Binks.
Jar Jar Binks is so cute.
He's adorable. I mean, I know all the characters. I don't know about the lineage and all of the things and it'll embarrass me so much it embarrasses you. So what if we introduce them to your favorite segment?
Well, okay, so obviously you guys, this is Glow On Podcast. We were going on and on about sales. If you want to learn how one size doesn't fit all and how to have different strategies for different personality types, check out our class. But I want to talk about, what do you have a glow on for? Like, what's really doing it for you lately?
I almost think I want you to go first because I don't know. I've been so busy. What? You know what? The answer a week ago would have been the most recent season of Bridgerton. But 3 days ago, I found out that they used AI to help write this script, and it shows. And so I think my glow on right now is for figuring out my feelings about that, because I use AI all the time and it's helpful. But
that was really insightful. I have a glow on for AI.
I kind of do. But Shonda doesn't need it. So I'm just confused.
But 3 days ago you loved it. If she did something,
I know.
And you know darn well that she told it what she wanted and it just made it easier for her. She's out here writing all your favorite shows in the world, Jen. What do you want from her?
She does. She really does. Maybe my heart on my glow on is for Shonda. I mean, really. Yeah, she is.
There it is. We got down to it.
She's the narrator of my life story. Was I watching Grey's Anatomy right before we got on here? Yes. I don't know. It just has my mind thinking, like, if Shonda also is using AI, then we should all feel safe enough to use AI. But is that why there were a couple hiccups in the season that like didn't feel congruent to the rest of? I don't know.
I loved it. I thought it was a fantastic season.
I mean, listen,
I might even say
one of your favorites.
Well, yeah, but they all are. So, but that's hard. But I really, really, really liked it.
I also thoroughly enjoyed it. It just has me, you know me, I'm all up in my head about it now. Not that I don't love it as much. I just am having to look through it through a different lens. So maybe not the glow on that I will mention in episodes future, but yeah. What about you?
I am struggling, I guess, because you have me thinking of TV. Oh. And this is so late in the game, but I have a glow on for we just started Suits, but I'm still watching Better Call Saul, and I'm just so worried about Jimmy and Saul, and like fascinated by how they took Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul and they made a foundational character, and then they swung so hard away from so many of their like foundational principles, you know?
Oh, I haven't watched it.
Well, it's just such a swing, but also you can see it. And so that's the way that they have me like in the middle of my workday, genuinely concerned about a fake character's well-being and thought process.
But isn't that just those writers? Because I felt that way during Breaking Bad too. There's something about the way that they write that it just leaves an indelible mark on you where they move through life with you. And it's a special type of writing for sure.
It's like the anti-hero, and it's getting to play out the decisions that you wanted to make in an emotional state that you wisely chose not to, but then being just so very concerned for that person's decision making. But also for the thing about Better Call Saul is you saw Breaking Bad is the future. So this show is in the past. So you already know what's going to happen. And I have found causes me so much distress because I know what's going to happen and I just don't want it to happen to him. And for whatever reason in my heart and soul, I believe that somehow I can change it, and it's concerning. I obviously cannot, but I'm like, why can't it just be different?
Okay, I didn't realize it was in the past. I need to watch it. It's on my list of things to watch.
Yeah.
I'll mix it into the mix. But I mean, yeah, Breaking Bad, there's not a show that's given me more anxiety or like had me more hooked ever. I mean, all you got to do is introduce an acid bath and I'm in. So
I waited this long, but it was great. It's good stuff.
Wow.
I didn't realize our glow-ons were going to be TV related, but I can't wait to hear what you have a glow-on for next week.
I mean, who knows? It could be a fellow photographer next week. It could be new shoes. I mean, anything could happen. I mean, I guess if you want to get really specific about your glow-ons, you can ask me more specifically. Who?
Who do you have a glow-on for?
I don't know. I'd have to think about it.
Honestly,
next time.
Okay. We have together had a little glow-on.
Oh.
For Sepia Bride. And I think she plays such a great part of kind of our discussion today and like sales and that journey for our customers. And I know our next episode is actually about her. So if you want to join us for our next episode, we're going to glow on and on and on about Sepia Bride.
Hire us for the Macy's Day Parade because that was the perfect, whatever they call those. Transition? No, they've got like a word for it. It's fine. Whatever. I can't wait to talk about Sepia Bride because you're right. She's been playing on a loop in my head for a lot of different reasons. And she just keeps coming back and clapping back and has more opinions. And
let's go.
Meet me there. Okay. All right, everyone. That was this episode of Glow On. If you'd like to learn more about sales strategies and all of the things, head to developacademy.com and check out the sales glow up where you can get this, but times 4.
And don't forget the extra E.
Yeah, because we spell things weird around here.
Developing.
Have a good week, and we'll see you next time.
Photographers, want to gain a deeper understanding of your ideal clients? Well, we have just the thing for you, a free quiz that reveals key insights about your client's motivations and buying style in just a few minutes. Whether your ideal client is driven by emotion, value, or practicality, knowing their buyer type can transform your sales approach and help you close more bookings. Ready to take the quiz? Head to develop.academy/quiz to discover your ideal client's buyer type. It's quick, insightful, and completely free. Don't miss out.